and she is going to tell you about a little gathering that we had earlier this week in a very brief way shortly. So we will always record these calls and put them out on a Tuesday to watch again. And for those people that can't make 9:30, and we're just experimenting, by the way, we're doing a little reel of the highlights of the call. So Stuart, who's very clever, who's not on this call, but is also one of our colleagues, is just going to, for a few weeks, just kind of condense down the call to about 1 minute 45 and make a little reel and see whether see what sort of pickup that has as a sort of little highlights of this call as well. So we're here to champion the art sector and to celebrate what's going on. And it was Anne, wasn't it? Because of course you appeared in it from last week, because I wasn't around last week. I thought you were very good, by the way, Anne. But I thought, blimey, she knows what she's doing. Um, uh,
Thanks, Tom. Sorry, I was just unmuting. Yeah.
no, not at all. It was
Yeah.
great. It was
It
great.
was
You
a
did a
great
great job.
reel. I was quite
Yeah.
surprised to see it, but he did really well. Enjoyed it.
um, so I just try and find two or three people who are doing interesting things every week to talk about. And as regular correspondents will know, that's what we try and do every week. And we've done about 260 of these calls now since the early part of 2020. So we've done quite a few. Right. So this morning we are going to hear from Lizzie Fisher, who runs Higham Hall, just up the road from me in Cockermouth, just a few miles to the east, and Al Critchlow, who a lot of you know is a magnificent painter in Bowness-on-Solway. There she is in her studio this morning, because they're combining to run a course there soon, and also we're trying to see whether we can get some younger people to get involved in that course as well. So they'll tell us about that. We're going to hear from Soph and Cam Minden, who are running a brand new festival at Rydal in September, and I'm not going to tell you any more than that at this stage, and they can explain what that's all about. Emma, who of course runs Soundwave in Whitehaven, has got a gig to talk about, which See It to Be It, which is part of what Cumbria Arts and Culture Network is promoting at the moment, is supporting as well. So we'll hear about that. Some great young talent playing there. And then hopefully Faye Morrissey, who's just called me to say she's got some little crisis going on at the Army, but hopefully she'll overcome that crisis in the way that only Faye Morrissey could overcome, and will join us in the last half hour of the call to talk about 3 new exhibitions that have just opened at the Armit for their spring and summer season, all of which sound really interesting as well. So that is the plan for this morning. And if you want to chip in, Kate, you've gone horizontal. That's right. This is as if you've kind of just taken it easy. You've done a bit of a Helen Pets there and gone to recline on a chaise longue or something. Still people coming through the door. Hello, people that have just arrived. Hi, Derek. I can see Julie's banging on the door as well. Before we start, I'll let Julie through there. Iona, would you just like to share just 3 minutes on? We had a bit of a huddle, didn't we, this week, just outside Kendal?
We did, yes. If you've received the newsletter, you'll have seen our lovely team picture. So we try and have a CACN team huddle maybe every few months or so, just depending on availability. Just because it's nice to get together in person rather than through a screen. So we met at Rin's Coffee, which is on the Plumgarth's kind of farm shop estate just outside Kendal. Full disclosure, my husband works there, so that's how we were able to use the space. But it was a lovely sunny day and we had some great coffee, and basically we kind of had a few hours together where we sort of noodled over some ideas, and some specific things we went through included going through the actions and the feedback we had from the big meet. So the big meet, for anyone who doesn't know, we had a sort of get together that was aimed at demystifying the arts and culture sector in Cumbria for young people. And during the big meet, we had some breakout groups. So we got some great feedback and ideas from those. So on Wednesday, we kind of wanted to try and either put those ideas directly into action or try and work out a way that we could action those, or what ideas we came up with from the feedback. So that was really good. We got to meet Alex, who is the new evaluator for the See It to Be It project. So
I was very impressed by Alex. I thought she was great.
I was going to say the clues
Never
in the
met her
name.
before. She was very impressive.
She's going to be evaluating. Also very impressed because she basically can do everything that I can't do, which is pay attention to details and analyze things to within an inch of her life. So we're looking forward to seeing what she comes up with and the feedback we get from her. And then we just kind of ran through some actions of things that are ongoing. So we're currently working on the See It to Be It website. So again, just trying to break stuff down into actionable chunks so that we can work through and get everything done. And yeah, it was just really nice to meet face to face, really nice to be outside in the sunshine for a little bit. For anyone who doesn't know, the Plumgarth Estate's got not only great coffee, but a great bakery and farm shop. So we had some great pastries, and Tom had a chorizo Scotch egg at the end of the
I
day
did.
to round it all off,
I did. I
which
was wondering whether you were going to mention that.
of course I was
One of
going
the
to
most
mention it.
sort of, it's kind of food of saints, isn't it, Scotch egg? I really
Yeah,
liked it. And it was a very nice way to end the meeting. And just
yeah.
for those of you, just to round off this little section here. So CACN is run by 5 people part-time. Myself, Iona, Kate Parry, Chris Bridgman, and Stuart Atkinson, who is our current trainee producer, which is going to switch in April. And Alex has joined us. So we all
And
discuss.
Emily,
And Emily, of course, Emily, because she wasn't there, but because she was
she
poorly.
was unwell on the
Emily who does
day.
the books for us as well. So we're a tight little team. We hardly ever see each other face to face, but we're going to try and do something about it every few months. Thank you, Aina. And
You're welcome.
Plumbergarth, I recommend it for a coffee, a pastry, or a Scotch egg,
Yeah,
and many other things as well. Right. Thank you, Aina.
you're welcome.
Let's move on and hear now and welcome Lizzie Fisher and Al Critchlow, who are getting together to make the world a better place by running a course at Higham Hall, which I've never been to, but I just saw a picture of it on the website, and we might see a picture of it shortly. It was built as a stately home, I imagine, Lizzie. I don't know. You've been there a couple of years running it, haven't you now? So tell us a bit about Higham, and then tell us a bit about what you're doing together.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Tom. Thanks for the invitation. This is my first Friday Zoom, so be gentle with me. So, yeah, I've been at Higham for about 2.5 years now. It's an educational trust, and we're based in Higham Hall, which is just north of Bassenthwaite Lake. It was built in 1828 by Thomas Hoskins, who at the time was the Sheriff of Cumbria, but also the main investor in the Keswick to Cockermouth Railway. And back then, he would have been able to see his investment from where we are, just up the hill a bit. So that's it. But this year is actually the 50th anniversary of adult education at Higham. So after it was a sort of stately home, it moved around a little bit. It was a youth hostel, it was a girls' school, but back in 76, the county council took over and started running adult education programs from the hall. And then in 2008, when county councils all over the country started to want to sell off their properties, their assets, my predecessor, Alex Alexander, actually went to the bank with a small group of supporters and students at the time and got a mortgage and bought the place. So it's almost 20 years since we've been an independent charity, and we've been running it as a college, a residential college for adult education since then. But we focus largely on it's informal education, it's arts and humanities. There's no courses in language, it's not maths and English, it's basket making or gilding or pottery or paint. And I suppose my background is as a curator and an art historian. I've kind of come to this notion of engagement in creativity through museums, through working with artists my entire life, enabling people to make work and to use art to I don't know, see the world differently. So it's an exciting institution to be in. It's not about exhibition making, but it's about enabling. It's about providing journeys, opportunities for people to develop their creative practice, to try new skills. And what I'm particularly interested in is helping people along that journey, that ladder, and as well as things like we support a lot of heritage crafts like gilding or chair caning or illumination and leatherwork. But we also work with a number of artists like Alison, and I think we've been working for a couple of years now, haven't we, Alison?
Mhm.
To develop quite creative courses which are a bit more open-ended. Alison currently runs a poetry and paint course with Susan Allen at Higham, and it's a short residential, but it's exploring that relationship between text and image. And this season, this summer, for the first time, Alison and I are going to pair up to do some art history study days as well, which is quite exciting. But the course we wanted to talk to you about today is portfolio development, really. And that's a course that we were chatting about because most of our demographic at Higham are sort of people, well, older adults, really, 50 plus. Although the courses are open to anybody who wants to do them. But the people that tend to come are people who have the time and the money to pay. So, as I say, we are a charity, but we don't receive any grant funding. Oh yes, sorry, yes, Susan Allison, sorry, Sue. There are two of you. It's the other one we're working with. Um, so we don't receive any grant funding, so we rely on earned income, and that's why people have to pay to come on the courses. But we do run a bursary scheme and an assisted places scheme, so anybody who thinks they might be eligible can apply for either a 20% discount or a 70% bursary award. So that makes things more affordable for more people, and that's entirely funded by Friends of Higham subscriptions. So we operate a kind of a sort of fluid economy there. But bottom line is, I have to make sure that we bring in enough money to keep the doors open, and that's quite a big ask. You know, having moved from the museum sector to something where we have to pay our way.
There's
But
clearly some fans of home on the call, busy looking at chat.
are there?
The food is very nice, I'm told.
The food is all home cooked by our team of 5 cooks. I mean, we are open 50 weeks a year, 24/7. So we have course 3 or 4 courses running at any one time, and we have 33 bedrooms. So people come and stay, and they are fed and looked after, and they can concentrate on just doing the thing they've come to do, whether it's to play jazz or to make a basket or to just think and write and read. So it's really about welcoming and enabling and supporting people because a lot of people come on their own as well. It's not groups necessarily don't come, although sometimes we have members of the same family who will come or friends. There's a lady from Darlington and her friend from Manchester, and they've met at Higham to do a course together and catch up. So that's quite a nice thing
So
that happens quite regularly.
Is it half Cumbrians, half kind of from beyond Cumbria, or
It's
less
more
than?
like 25, 75.
Okay,
Not many Cumbrians know about us. Um,
right.
we don't do any marketing apart from a little bit of social media. It's largely word of mouth, and we have a lot of repeat customers. So we send out the brochure. You see, I've tagged some of the courses, but every 6 months we produce a little brochure which you can download on the website, and that goes out to 4,000 people, and that sort of generates the people that come largely. But as I say, I'd quite like to diversify the demographic at Higham, bring in more experimental, more open-ended courses, younger audiences, and try and support different kinds of practice. So it's not just people who are hobbyists, but people who are quite advanced practitioners or who want to change career and move into a creative activity.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
clearly you need artists to help you run some of these courses and
we do.
professionals. So
Yeah, we
let's
work with
see
about yeah, yeah,
let's
we
see
work with
see
about
the seeds that Al.
120.
Okay, 120 artists to help you
Yeah,
deliver the stuff.
freelance. Yeah. So we work
So
with about 120.
Al, tell us a bit about what your relationship is with Higham and perhaps a bit more about this course that's coming up.
So I'm kind of early days to Higham. I guess I've run maybe 3 or 4 courses at this point, a couple a year with, like Lizzie said, with Susan, doing poetry and paint. But this year I'm doing a few more and we're trying some different stuff. So particularly the one we thought you might help us to advertise is the portfolio development course, which is happening in the summer. And this is a really new, kind of trying out something new. So the aim is to aim this towards younger people, or not necessarily younger people, but people who are early days to an art career anyway, who maybe want to apply to art school or art college or uni, or for different reasons want to boost and sharpen their portfolio. So the idea is for them to bring, we're going to have a small group, so like 8 people, quite small, so that the idea being we can really learn as a group. I'm going to encourage people to bring either their portfolio of work if they've already got one, or just 1 or 2 pieces if they haven't. The idea is we'll take that as a start point. We'll go from there to kind of use that work as inspiration to strengthen what they already have, but also to learn the skill of questioning, kind of developing a critical eye for other art as well as for your own art. So I'm gonna put it together so it's a practical course. It will be quite fun. It'll be quite sort of high energy, experimental. There'll be lots of quite quick exercises and then mixed in with slower, more reflective work. By the end of it, we should have a big stack of work that everybody's made differently. So the way I do these things is it will be in the Cedar Room, which is beautiful. It's like you can have one great big table in the middle so that everybody's working in one space. And then there's a little room off to the side, which I thought would be perfect for more kind of one-to-one going through portfolios and offering a bit of advice with how to strengthen up what they've got there and where the gaps are. So the lovely thing about HIAM is, aside from next level cake experiences, the lovely thing is you have an evening session which can be more informal, more laid back. So as a group, we'll get together in the evenings and have quite an open, lively discussion in different ways. I've got some great ideas about this. So basically, I want to, across the few days, I want to make sure everyone gains in confidence around being brave enough to say they don't know what something is, how to frame questions, how to dig in and really think about why has someone painted that like that? Or what are the themes? What are they trying to get at? What's the context? What's the philosophy behind it? Is there a kind of a whole concept here that I haven't got the hang of? What is that? And it's all about providing the language which allows you to ask the questions, really. And I can remember from being a lot younger, I mean, God, a long time ago, but doing that thing where you're preparing for an art school interview and being terrified that you're meant to know everything. And I thought, oh my God, I don't know anything. And obviously the years teach you that's okay, but you have to learn how to own what you don't know and to kind of look at what you don't know and go, okay, so that's interesting. So this is all about developing a critical eye, really, and together sort of boosting, encouraging each other, but also encouraging an ambition that isn't always very easy to come by if you don't know much about art. Also, how can you put yourself in the context of what's happening in art across the country or across the world if you don't really know too much about it? So the emphasis will really be on contemporary art, on what artists are making today in different parts of the world, and how your interests might fit into that. So some of it will be pinning down what interests you, what fires you up. Some of it will be looking at images I've brought in, I'll do PowerPoints and things, and we'll really dig into what we do and don't like. But it won't be as simple as that. It will be what's successful and what's not, and why. Why do we like that? Why do we not like that? What's that all about? Why is it edgy? Why is it difficult? Is it okay that it makes you feel like that? We're going to just ask the questions that perhaps too many people wander past art without thinking all this stuff. So we're going to slow it down a bit and dig in.
Sounds fascinating. If anyone's got any questions for either Al or Lizzie, by the way, just stick your hand up either visually or with your little yellow hand or brown hand or whatever it is you want to use. Lizzie, tell us a bit more about this bursary opportunity then, and who's it kind of targeted at?
It's quite straightforward. There's information in the FAQs on our website, how to apply for a bursary. You contact the office, there's a form to fill in, and we just ask for proof of low income. It's open to anyone who's in full-time education from 18 up. And bursaries, we generally give one bursary one person a bursary once. You can't get repeat bursaries, but you can get any number of assisted places. So maybe you'd apply for a bursary first to get the 70% off, but then you could come back and have a 20% discount on courses. So that's how it works. It's a pretty straightforward process to fill in the form, and you can do it anytime. So just have a look.
There we go. All the details are on the CACN website. Thank you, Ian, for bringing that up.
I put a link. Sorry, excuse me. I put a link in the chat box as well to that page.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks.
Lizzie, I have to ask you, Lizzie, having been there a couple of years now, do you have a favourite course?
Alison, I would say that.
Clearly, Alice. Oh,
I mean, Alison epitomizes the kind of artist that I really enjoy working with. It's very
tell me more about
open-ended.
that. What, how, why?
Because I think art changes the way that you think, and I think lots of people who come to Higham are looking to be challenged and to be pushed out of their comfort zone a little bit, to try new things and to see the world differently. And I think art makes people more resourceful and resilient and better people. I mean, I would say that, wouldn't I? But I just think the value of art to people's lives is so important. It's just about opening people's minds to a more creative way of thinking. And that makes the world a better place, doesn't it, Tom?
I
So,
think so. Nothing.
so yeah, I like that's the kind of practice that I like and that I'm particularly drawn to. But I also see the value in courses where, a tutor might be just showing you how to do something, a skill
Yeah.
like basket making or illumination, those technical skills that you need. It's a very different kind of course, but any kind of making is really important. So I like ideas. I like thinking in new ways, and that's kind of my preference. But I love that we're able to support, those crafts. Like we're doing a fast fire kiln building workshop this summer outdoors, and
Wow.
that's to enable people to learn how to build one of these kilns so that they can then go and do it in their own garden and, enable that practice. Because apparently the only fast fire kiln, the nearest one to Cumbria, is in Oxford. So I just love the idea of being able to enable people how in whatever they want to do to push their practice a bit further.
Yeah. Okay. But at the same time, you probably have to worry about the roof as well, don't you?
Well, that's where it's going outside. Yeah, we've
Okay.
got like
But,
we've got like 6 acres of grounds,
but
so
it's a
a
big
lot
old
of
building. It's a big old building to look after and
it
run as well,
is
isn't it?
it's a grade 2 listed 200 year old building with a roof that needs replacing. We do have a
Yeah.
roof campaign on at the moment. I need to raise
Okay.
funds for that. But it's the anniversary year. We're going to have an open day in July, Saturday
Okay.
the 11th of July. Please, you're all welcome. A few of our tutors will be coming to
Okay.
demonstrate
So
what they do.
Saturday, the 11th of July is the open day at
Yeah,
Higham Hall. Okay, great.
yeah.
Monique just
Everything's
asked
free.
in chat, Lizzie, I can't see any timings on the courses. Are they all day?
Unless most courses are residential and they start, you check in around after 4 in the afternoon, you have dinner, and then they run until lunchtime on the last day.
Okay.
So food kind of wraps the whole course. Um, we do most courses are residential, then there are some day courses and some lectures or short 2-hour sessions. It should say that if you click on to the individual course, it will give you the information.
Okay.
You can only book day courses and lectures online. You have to call to book residential courses because the building is very quirky. Everyone's accommodation needs are different and all the rooms are different. So that's why we have that sort of split. But just call and inquire. We've got 5 people in the office. They're always happy to help. We don't have an answer phone though, um, partly because it just takes more time answering the phone. So if you don't get through, just keep calling
Okay.
or send an email.
All right. Well, good luck with that, and Al, good luck with your input as well. It's because you're involved. It'll be fantastic. So, and it'll also be very creative and different, and coming from a very clever, talented place as well. So, good luck with that, and I hope the bursary is sought after, and great that you're opening it up to other people of differing backgrounds to join you there at Higham too. Thank you.
Yeah,
And if I can get along on the 11th of July, because it's not very far away from where I live, I intend to do that.
great.
Great. Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Let's move on then to hear from Cam and Soph, one of whom is older than the other. They are sisters, everybody. So if you weren't on the call a bit earlier, one of them is older, one of them is younger. I won't dare to say who that is. But anyway, you're very welcome here. And you're here to tell us, Cam, I think you're in London. Soph, you're up in Windermere.
That's right.
But you're here because you're very, very bravely getting off the ground a brand new festival at Rydal in September here in Cumbria. Tell us what it's about, what it's called, and then why on earth you're doing it.
Lovely,
And
wonderful.
we've got some slides. We've got some slides we're going to pull up as well.
Oh, we do, which we're deeply reliant on, I think.
I only will bring
you.
those up now.
Great. Thank you so much for having us, everybody. It's been a little while. I have been on a CACN call, I think, right at the very beginning, back in 2020. I'll let Cam introduce herself in a minute. We are sisters, and just in case you are wondering, I am the older one. The grey hair is a bit of a giveaway. I'm Soph. I live in Windermere. I've spent the last, I guess, definitely over a decade, probably about 14 years, building communities, I suppose. I was one of the co-founders of Anti-Racist Cumbria. Before that, I did kind of PR and events. I used to work with a lot of artists, ran galleries, did large-scale exhibitions. I do PR and comms. We used to run a thing called LA23 Net. That's now called The Gather. And so, yeah, for the last, an experimental music festival. That's called Quab. That's absolutely wonderful. Nice and strange and quirky. And yeah, I guess for the last, over a decade, I have been passionate about connecting people with brave and compassionate ideas, really connecting people with each other, not necessarily always being, it's not about being the center, is it? It's about bringing people to each other and seeing what happens, creating space to allow magic, I guess, because most people are magic. When you get people together, people are magic. And my sister and I have been talking about this idea for a very long time, and we are now doing it. I'm going to hand over to Cam to introduce herself.
Thank you, sister. Yes, I am Cam, younger sister. My background is in events, primarily in the charity sector. Until recently, I was heading up the high value team. It's called High Value Events Team at Cancer Research UK. But actually left that last year and have now become a funeral arranger, which I'm enjoying very much. And yeah, as Soph said, we're both kind of motivated by bringing people together and running brave and compassionate projects, of which the Sondering is our new one that we're going to talk about. Just to say, this beautiful artwork is by a local artist. Some of you might recognise it, Monica Metzers. I think Simon Sylvester, her partner's on the call actually, so he'll definitely recognise it. But thank you, Monica, for this beautiful art. If we go on to the next slide, I'll tell you a little bit about what it is, because it is a death festival, essentially. It is a festival that is themed around death, dying and grief. It's about bringing these conversations that we often avoid into a new context. We're trying to increase, community well-being. We're trying to reduce isolation and fear, and we want people who attend to leave feeling better resourced practically, but also emotionally, around these subjects, so that we can, go out into the world, go out into our communities, and better support ourselves and each other, especially during these difficult times where there's lots of transitions and deaths of all kinds happening around us. So it's kind of part festival, part retreat, part shared experiment. It's a small gathering. This is obviously our first year, so we want to be able to hold the space well for the people who are there. So it's only 300 people. It's down in Rydal, so we'll talk a little bit later about kind of the placement of the site. But it's Friday arrival, sort of arrive Friday afternoon, some programming the Friday night through till about midnight, and then Saturday and Sunday programming from about 8 a.m. till midnight both days. So it's not a super late finish. And then off-site on Monday morning. And across the weekend, there's going to be a real mix of things. So it's workshops, talks, rituals, big and small, and lots of different, music and forms of artwork. And something that's important to us is that there's plenty of opportunity for the audience, which we're actually calling participants, is for them to be able to get involved with things, and co-create is part of hopefully the medicine of the festival that we've got in mind. And we will also be, obviously these are really big topics. So we are treating them with a lot of care. We're treating them with a lot of love. And we will be clear in our comms about what it is and what it isn't, so that people can make informed decisions about whether it's right for them now and whether each activity within the festival is right for them. We're going to be really clear about that. Okay, I think next slide. Soph.
Yeah, great. I think this is the question we're trying to answer, and I don't think we'll get the full answer out of just one festival, but death is the universal experience. We don't talk about it enough. It's coming to us all as well, whether it's something that we are experiencing with loss for people around us, or whether it is the acknowledgement of our own mortality. We're really hoping that by bringing this conversation, the conversation of death, dying, grief, and addressing the fact that we are all going to die into a festival context, what will that do? What will happen when we address these things in new ways? So that's the question. Can exploring mortality creatively, consciously, and communally bring us closer to life and each other? We really hope that the answer is yes. And underpinning that, next slide, please. Our festival pillars, the things that we're going to utilize in order to help us sort of find that out, are the arts, ritual, it's big and small. We'll talk a little bit about some of that in a moment. Nature, community, and death culture. So you've spoken before, guys, just earlier on that call, talking about kind of the power of art to help, make the world a better place. I don't think there's many people who are better placed to look at something that is as multifaceted and as complex as death, dying, grief, and mortality as the creative industry. That is really, there's so many lenses that can be shone on it and so many things that it can reflect out. So for us, the arts has been a huge part of our personal lives and some of my professional life. It just is natural. It's natural to us that the arts and music and all kinds of different art is underpinning this. Ritual, for us, that is, we say both large and small. There is power in adding meaning to moments. They don't have to be big things. Sometimes it can just be being intentional about something, but we think that there is a real power in making time for things, doing things with intention. Nature is our best teacher, hey? And we will be embedding the festival, not just within the site itself, which we are unbelievably lucky with where it is. It's in sort of an amazing farm. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a sec. It's on an amazing...
So, time check. I
love
you.
I? Thanks, yeah. Thanks, sis. This is why she's good at that. It's an amazing place at the base of the coffin route, which we will be doing a full pilgrimage along with a coffin filled with people's offerings. That will then culminate in a church, St. Oswald's Church in Grasmere. And there's going to be all other different ways of interacting with nature and the landscape as well. We're really keen to make sure that you don't have to have a Lake District on your doorstep in order to connect with nature. It can be your window box, it can be anything. So I think this will be attracting people from the local area, but also from further afield as well. So that's something that we're really conscious of. And it's small so that we can build community, so that we can look after the people who are there and so that they can create connections and community. And death culture. We're not death care experts. Cam is fast becoming one with her work as a funeral arranger. But actually, we're going to be bringing some of the leading death care experts from around the country to support us as we have these conversations. Next slide, please. Great. So
we might
a little bit about
this. Gloss over this one, sister.
Okay, great. There's the site. That beautiful barn will be the main stage. Going to be a fantastic sound system at the back. That's going to be where the bigger things happen. In the middle there, you can see a bit more of the site itself. There's a beautiful field, camping, glamping. You can get around the site really quite easily as well. The undercroft sits directly underneath the barn. That will be used for rituals, ceremonies, smaller talks and workshops. And as you can see right there, we are also lucky enough to have Rydal Cave on our doorstep. We've got Rydal Water and the coffin route. The history and the heritage of the place is absolutely being brought to the fore. We're really excited to work with artists to help us imagine those spaces in kind of new ways and interesting ways. Cool. Next slide, please.
Thanks. Sorry, didn't mean to rush you.
Oh, no.
We've just had a question in the chat as well, so I will just address that about the age group that we're targeting.
Mhm.
So roughly it's sort of 35 to 65, the kind of next generation of people broadly who will be approaching these topics that we want to help with grief literacy. We've already sort of started building a community, and I'd say so far it's maybe majority, yeah, I'd say probably 35 to 50 is the broad brush. But as we'll talk about in a second, everybody is welcome. We appreciate this festival won't be for everyone. That's okay. But the people that it speaks to, everybody is welcome. And we're going to be, very intentional about our programming.
Not too old, Sue.
Nobody's too old, nobody. But it is for over 18s. We should say that we're not resourced to do an under 18s offering this year. The subject of mortality for children is really important, and we would want to be able to do that justice and do all the right programming and safeguarding around that. So year one at least is 18s and above. But broadly speaking, we're going to be taking people on a sort of energetic arc throughout the weekend, moving through reflection, release, and return. We're really programming beyond genre. We don't have like a tick box of different genres that we're trying to program. It's about exchange with the participants and what it might, bring up for people or ideas that it might evoke. So those are kind of three of our pillars. And we have gone live with an open call, which is partly why we're speaking to you today, is we really want to showcase local artists and champion creativity in the Northwest. So we're looking for any and all kinds of creatives, especially if you feel these themes resonate with you, if they inspire your work. It doesn't have to be death, dying, and grief in a literal way. It's just what that brings up for you. It might be memory, it might be the cycles of nature, it might be just the ache of being human. Whatever it brings up for you, we would love to hear your ideas. We are particularly interested in hearing from people who might work with dance, theatre, comedy, outdoor installations, musicians of all kinds. We're looking for someone who could maybe lead a memento mori crafting workshop, amazing lighting technicians, but really any ideas, we're open to hear them. This open call is running, we should have put the date on here. This open call runs until the 7th of April. And all you need to do is drop us an email and then we will have a chat, and we can, work things out. But yeah, 7th of April, we would love to hear your ideas. That's what I was going to say on this. Yeah.
Is it worth just saying some things that we can't have? We don't particularly have exhibition space.
Yes.
You certainly can bring your friends and relatives. Everyone's welcome, past, present, and future. Yeah, we don't have exhibition space in a sort of hanging visual art kind of way. Installation pieces, yes, out on the landscape, but not much picture space, if that makes sense. Just worth including that.
Amazing. And we have gone slightly over time. So Tom, you can tell us whether we've got any time to answer questions and bits.
Has your last slide got your contacts? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
hello@thesondering.co.uk. Lots of positivity in chat about the idea, Cam, and so if you get a chance to have a quick look at that.
Right.
Katie asking, is the idea that artists, creatives involved also become participants in the festival?
Yes. Yeah, they'd be on site for the whole weekend as well. So it's all a big mashup. And that's going to be part of the beauty, is there's conversations happening. We're going to have end of life and death care experts, creatives of all kinds, and the general public all mixing together to address these things together.
Okay. The Sondering, just tell us about the title. Where's that come from?
The Sondering comes from the word sonder, which is a made-up word from a guy I think called John Koenig, who coined it in 2012. And the word sonder is the realization that everybody around you is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. So you're the central character in your world, but so is everybody else the central character in theirs. And we all our stories all overlap in seen and unseen ways. And we decided to turn it into a verb. So we want to live with sonder. So we want to try and embody that feeling of sonder in our daily lives, which is, a gratitude for life and understanding the interconnectedness of each other and how important we all are and how unimportant we also all are at the same time.
I think the title of a festival is very important to get right. And I think a bit of intrigue behind it is no bad thing sometimes. So, well, it's really, really interesting thing that you're doing, an interesting concept that you're trying to tackle sort of in a communal fashion as well. I also just salute you. I know how complicated it is to get a festival off the ground, and all the things that you didn't think you'd have to think about, you have to think about, all the sort of slightly tedious stuff to make it run smoothly. And let's know the weather is kind to you, but it's great to see you've got a lot of facility there, a lot of structure there, so that if it isn't that friendly weather-wise, you're going to be fine because you've got that beautiful looking space to help put things into. Thank you ever so much, Cam and so for telling us about it and for telling and beautiful slides as well, if I may say so. And really interested to see how that develops and evolves. And I hope the call out as well. April the 7th, did you say?
Yeah.
Is the closing date for that. So again, if you're on this call, it's not necessarily you, but you're thinking of someone who it might be for. That's the framework to work around as well. So that's great. Okay, so Cam, thanks ever so much, and good luck with that all.
Thank you all.
All right, let's nip across to the west coast to Whitehaven, and let's hear from the lovely Emma Salmon, who's always doing something interesting. And on this particular occasion, it's something coming together, which see it to be it, which is part of the CACN strategy at the moment. It has a small part to play in as well. So Emma, we're going to pull up the poster of what you're about to talk about. So over to you, if you'd just like to briefly introduce yourself and tell us what this is all about.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name's Emma. I work for Soundwave. I'm the creative producer. We're a music charity based in Whitehaven. We have an empty shop that we've taken over on the main street, and we have a studio in there, a facilitation space where we run community jams and choirs and sessions for young bands, which are all free for under 19s. And I've worked for Soundwave for quite a bit now, and yeah, I think we make a big impact with a little team. So we've started to do, in the last couple of years, we've started to work, we've kind of broadened our like participant base from like local people that want to make music to local musicians that want to develop their careers, because we believe that Cumbria has amazing talent and we champion it wherever we can. So we in the last couple of years we've ran a stage at Kendal Calling, and we've programmed Cumbrian artists and musicians to play there alongside a company called Generator in the Northeast, and we work together to program like a whole northern stage at Kendal Calling. So it's great. So if anyone's at Kendal Calling this year, come and see the Root stage. So that brings me on to this event that I'm talking about today, because we work with lots of young musicians, and that in turn equals lots of young bands that come to us. And in recent years, because they see more of this work that we're doing around events and gigs, they're kind of looking to us for some help and guidance and support. So because of this need and because we think it's really, really important, and I've been there myself as a young person, this is our first kind of young band event that we're running. So we've got three awesome bands. Clarity actually performed at the Cockermouth Live event that worked with Cockermouth Live a couple of months ago now, and Clarity are one of the bands that were part of that project, and they were awesome. They were amazing. So we brought them back. We've got Dejected that are like a local sort of like heavy metal sort of band, kind of on the heavier side, and Aphid have got that more of like grungy sort of sound to them, but they're all young bands. So this event is for everybody. And what I would say is, to build culture and to build a scene, you need people to come out and show out for stuff like this. So if any of you are free next Friday, if anyone we work in schools, it's the last day before the Easter holidays. So if anyone's free and they want to come down and meet the Soundwave team, meet our trainees, see these young bands, talk to our team, see how we can maybe work together in the future, that would be great. But yeah, this is part of the Seat to Beat program, championing young artists and young bands. So if you know any young people that want to come and see, are thinking about starting a band, or thinking about the behind the scenes of running a gig, then they're welcome to come down. Yeah, the event starts at 7. It's all free. It's not in the Carnegie Theatre. It's in the Carnegie Bar. For those people that might remember, it was called Monroe's for a bit. But it's all free. And also this week, Tom, I forgot to mention, we've also got another Seat to Be event this week, which I totally forgot was going on. So we've got an open mic night at Whitehaven Library this Tuesday, and that is for 19 years and under. So any young musicians, young bands that are free on Tuesday, 5 till 7, they want to come down and perform some songs in Whitehaven Library, they are welcome to. So yeah, Tuesday, Friday next week. If anyone is free and just fancies just coming and seeing what's going on, I would love to meet you and see you there. Come and support them.
Great, thank you. And lots of nice comments and chat about what you're doing there, Emma, and I concur with that. I saw, so Clarity played at the brewery in Cockermouth in January, I think it was, for this thing that's Another Hat I Wear, helped organise Cockermouth Live. And they were fantastic. I think it was one of their first gigs they'd ever played together. I can't remember. And they were just brilliant. And they just looked to be such a great time. And your observation about we have to, create a culture. If we want to have a cultural scene in this county, we've got to get people early, because they are the stars of the future, and also the makers and the creators and the enablers of the future as well. Just like what you're doing at Soundwave, Emma. It was fantastic. So that's going to be a great evening. So the gig is 27th of March at not the Carnegie Theatre, but at the place that used to be called
Monroe's. So it is in the
Monroe's.
Carnegie in Workington. It's just not in the theatre. It's the same building. It's just not the theatre here.
Yeah, and Soundwave, Soundwave do amazing stuff, and we're so lucky to have them in the county. It's going to be good. Thank you very much for telling us about that, Emma, and for embracing it. I just wanted to mention one other quick thing before we hear from Faye, who's solved the problem at the Army. Faye, I said that you'd called to say you had to solve something out. So you've obviously achieved that. I don't know if you remember a few weeks ago, Don Bush and Matt Sharman came on this call, and we saw a little clip from a film they'd made. They're kind of mountaineer filmmakers, called 1,000 Words. So I went to see 1,000 Words at Coldbeck Public Hall. What an amazing public hall they've got in Coldbeck. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's amazing. And it probably held about 120 people. I mean, watch this 1 hour film called 1,000 Words, which is in effect trying to trace back and replicate a photograph that was taken, the first photograph of Mount Everest back in 18 something. It was a beautiful film. Really enjoyed it. I know that Barbara was there as well. I sort of bumped into Barbara, which was really nice. And it was just an amazing Cumbrian created piece of art, 1,000 Words. It's doing the circuit at the moment. So if you get a chance to see 1,000 Words, created by Don Bush and Matt Sharman, take it, because it's a great hour of watching something that probably you've never watched before in that way, shape or form. Beautiful photography. Really recommend that. Right. And great they came on the call to promote it as well a few weeks ago. We're now going to cross to the Armit in Ambleside, which is where Faye is in charge. And they've recently reopened for the season. And there's 3 new exhibitions that they are putting on. So Faye, we've got those 3 images to show you. And you're going to talk us through what's going on. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for bearing with me, and apologies I wasn't able to be on the call earlier to hear about other people's fantastic work that's going on. I caught the end of 2 of those, so yeah, sounds brilliant. So thank you very much for having me on this morning to just chat a little bit about our new exhibitions on for the 2026 year. So first of all, we have our headliner, as shown on the screen, an A to Z of Beatrix Potter. So you might already be aware that the Armit's got a fantastic collection of fungi watercolours by Beatrix Potter that we always try to display in some form or another, various different angles. We try to look at her life, her early life as a scientist, budding mycologist. And this year we've really ramped it up in that we have worked with Dr. Penny Bradshaw of the University of Cumbria, who is the course leader on the MA English Literature, Romanticism and the English Lakes. She's got a new book out of the same title, which I actually have just next to me here, if you can see. It's also called An A to Z of Beatrix Potter. And the exhibition has been put together in collaboration with Penny to basically bring her book to life. And it's a really refreshing, new, different perspective on Beatrix Potter, somebody who's so well known. But effectively what it is taking the alphabet and looking at 26 keywords or phrases that go alongside the context of her life, what she was working on in, using her written works, letters, her journal, of course, and art pieces to illustrate her life, as I say, and legacy. So, for example, A is for animal, quite obviously, and looks into the different ways that animals are portrayed by Beatrix throughout her life, how she's influenced by them in different ways, going all the way through to things like M is for myriads of fairy fungi, which obviously brings in our collection and the scientific aspect of her life, all the way through to Z. Z is for zoo, and we're looking at how, again, in that respect, some of the natural environments and activities that she attended in life. So when she attended London Zoo, looked at the different animals and had the opportunities to kind of see animals from different worlds, different countries, and again what sort of influences they had on her. So I really do obviously heartily recommend to come and have a look at our display, or to pick up the book. The book is available in our shop and some of the local outlets such as Fred's and Sam Reed's and Grassmere, or you can purchase it online. But what also makes this exhibition really special for us is the fact that we've got some really significant national loans as part of it. So we're thrilled to have pieces from the V&A, and we also have loans from Frederick Warne, which is now part of Penguin Random House. And we've got a stunning feature, if I do say so, from the Royal Ballet and Opera. So we've actually got a costume from the performance of the Tales of Beatrix Potter, which was done many years ago. And that's a really standout piece, and lots of photographs being taken with this particular costume that we've got on display. So it's really special for us to have these things with us for the year, to be working with Penny. We're also doing various different events throughout the year to correspond with this display. We've got tours of the exhibition with Penny. We've got curator talks happening throughout the year. So there's really lots going on. So next one, please. So Club Culture Cumbria, this is our second exhibition.
I love
that
this
we have on.
photograph. I think that is a fantastic photograph.
It's stunning, isn't it? So these are photographs primarily from a photographer called Colin Potzig. Colin is a northeast-based photographer, and his Club Culture Cumbria project is an Arts Council England funded project, and it follows on from one that he did in the northeast in his home area. And Club Culture Cumbria is all about looking into the almost, we want to say, dying culture of working men's and social clubs across the county. And what Colin's done is he's gone to various different clubs that are still existing. We're not saying that he's gone to them all by any means, but he's attended a number, and he's taken, for example, these stunning black and white portraits of people who go to or work at working men's clubs still today. And what he really wants to do is put a spotlight on some of these slightly undervalued and underseen places, which at one point, and still for some people today, are really crucial for social activities, for well-being, for community hubs. And what we've done with Colin is we've slightly added to that and enhanced, hopefully, his photographs by putting alongside some historical objects and imagery related to not just working men's clubs, but also mechanics institutes. So mechanics institutes are sort of like precursors to the clubs in a way. They were set up for working people to go to classes, learn skills, improve, develop. And so we've got together a variety of objects, both from our collection and again from other places around the county. Mechanics Institute items, so that can be rule books. We've got objects that were made in classes, like wood carving items. We've also got some fantastic musical items related to a mechanics band in Cockmer. So we've got fantastic bass drum on display, and a lovely hat and cap that was worn as part of the mechanics band. And then we've put that with club memorabilia as well on display. So it's a really more contemporary, I want to say, exhibition, and perhaps the most contemporary the Armit's done with Colin's photographs, but they're really stunning and stand out excellently. Final one, please. And this is our final exhibition, which is called Modern Day Martineau and is all to do with a lady called Harriet Martineau. I'm sure many of you on the call will have heard of her or know of her. She's attributed as being the first female sociologist, but she was also a guidebook writer, campaigner, activist. And till we started researching her, or I started researching her a bit more during last year for this exhibition, I actually didn't realise that Martineau lost her hearing from the age of 12, and she used an ear trumpet. And so in this exhibition, we look at all these different facets and elements of another remarkable lady. And so we look at Martineau from the perspective of disability, we look at her from the perspective of being a campaigner, a travel writer, being somebody who was very important in Ambleside once she moved here. So all the elements sort of come together in this display to look at her from the perspective of, well, what can we learn about her and from her in a modern day society? Because a lot of the things that she was and is doing is still relevant to now. And so we've compared her against some people that we might consider as modern day Martineau. So, for example, in terms of disability, we've paired her with Rose Ayling-Ellis, who's been in the spotlight quite a bit to promote her hearing difficulty and British Sign Language. We've also compared Martineau as a campaigner with people such as Esther Rantzen or Malala Yousafzai at the moment, and looking at different ways that perhaps people today are taking up the mantle that Harriet Martineau had over 200 years ago. And what's quite nice about both the Martineau exhibition and the Beatrix Potter exhibition is we've been able to bring them together at a time of significant kind of anniversary or birthday years, if you like. So for Beatrix Potter, it's actually the 160th year since she was born, and for Martineau, it's 150 years since she died. So there's a nice kind of correlation in this year about what's going on related to them. So again, with both the Club Culture and the Modern Day Martineau exhibition, just like the Beatrix Potter one, we have programming associated with that, various talks or workshops and events happening. And the Martineau Society, which exists, will be having their conference in Ambleside this year, quite nicely to coincide with our exhibition. And they'll be hosting that at the university, I believe, just next door. And there'll be a public sort of event as part of that, which we'll be helping to host. I think it's in June, in the summer months. So there's lots going on with us. I do hope you'll be able to come and have a look. And thank you for the time.
Thank you, Faye. Someone just asked, when do the exhibitions last until?
They go all the way through this year, right up until November, December time.
Great. Okay, smashing. What an offer from the Armit. What a varied offer from the Armit. Always like going to the Armit, and I shall be down at that Club Culture one in particular. There's going to be some beautiful images to look at there. I'm looking forward to seeing that in particular. Thank you ever so much. Can I ask two other quick parish notices? Kirsty Pelling, someone mentioned Kirsty Pelling in chat. I'm talking to Kirsty, and hopefully she's going to come on in a couple of weeks' time to talk about a new piece that she and I think her partner have put together, which is touring in Cumbria later this year. And also there was something else I was going to mention that I cannot remember what it was. So instead I'll say, oh yes, Iona, did you see I messaged you in chat. Could you possibly bring up a link from Brewery Arts in Ambleside? So next week we're going to hear from Clara Popel and Maya Kali, who are two singers who are performing at the brewery in Ambleside, in Kendal in April the 11th. Two young musicians that are performing, and it's part of a See It to Be It sponsored evening. Again, so if you just scroll through there, they are Maya Kali and Clara Popel. And if you just scroll through the text there, talked about the event as part of Cumbria Arts and Culture Network See It to Be It programme to help young Cumbrians build careers in the creative. So again, a bit like someone was saying earlier, it's all free basically to young people, this concert. So if you know people that might be inspired, because it's going to be a nice big Q&A at the end of it as well. Anyway, Maya and Clara are going to come and talk about their art next week. I'm also going to talk and hear about mentoring. So Cumbria Arts and Culture Network's got quite a big mentoring program that's been bubbling around for a couple of years now. We're going to hear from a couple of mentors and mentees about why mentoring in the arts is hopefully a good thing for both the mentor and the mentee as well. So we're going to hear a couple of people's stories about mentoring too. Thank you ever so much to Lizzie and to Al and to Soph and to Cam and to Emma and to Faye for this morning's entertainment. It's been very interesting as ever. Sarah, I hope that was okay for you. Very nice to have you with us this morning. And for everybody else who's not been on a call before, if you fancy coming on to some more calls, sign up to the newsletter, and that's how you get access to the Zoom codes. But thanks, everybody. It's lovely to see everybody. Have a nice weekend. The sun is sort of shining here in Cockermouth. Hopefully it's where you are too, wherever you are. And catch you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.